Hey Rebels, my name is Matthew Barton, and I'm the host of the Rebellion Brewing Podcast. Today's guest is Brennan Lampitt, and he's one of the guys behind Armoury Brewing, located in North Battleford, Saskatchewan. He has this infectious enthusiasm for craft beer, and when you see him in action, chatting with customers or other craft beer fans, you can't help but feel the positive energy and vibes. He's the kind of guy you just want to grab a beer with and shoot the breeze. Last time I got to talk with Brennan was a quick minute at the Saskatchewan Craft Beer Festival at the German Club in Regina. It was awesome. It was just filled with tons of great people, and I just shoved a mic in his face and asked him to share a couple thoughts with me, and then I was off. So I'm really excited to sit down with him today and talk all about Armoury Brewing. So let's get into it. Brennan, welcome to the show.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
It's been too long.
Yeah, always, man. It's the struggle of living up north like we do. We're out of the scene with you guys.
We had all these plans to come up to North Battleford this summer, and then COVID kind of locked it all down.
Yeah, COVID had a way of knocking the wind out of the sails there for everyone, eh?
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we will.
You guys are still on my list. I got to come up and get a bunch of photos and hang out with you, buy a bunch of merch.
Yeah, man. Whenever you want to come down, just let us know. We'd be happy to have you and show you around. And like you just said, sit down, have a beer, shoot the breeze.
Deadly. So tell me, what is the origin story of Armoury Brewing?
The origin story. So Armoury Brewing basically started with a love of craft beer and being fortunate enough to get our hands on such a cool old building, I guess, is kind of how it all started. I definitely had a love for craft beer and wanted to start up a brewery, but I knew I couldn't do it by myself. And, you know, it's just such a huge overhead and undertaking. And I actually had read in the paper, the local paper, that two local business owners had purchased this old armory building here in North Battleford. And they proposed a microbrewery. So my original thought as I read that was like, man, I should have got on it. I missed the boat. And that thought was immediately followed up by, oh, well, at least we'll have some good beer in town. And I didn't have to work my bag off for it. So I was pumped. It was about a month after reading that I found out it was actually my uncle, Greg Tatey, and his business partner, Brad Taylor, that had bought this building and proposed a microbrewery. So I was super excited. I came in one day with some craft beers. I think I had brought some Blackbridge and District in that day, just to show the boys some Sask craft. And I said, is it coffee break, boys? Like, I want to know your plan. Like, I'm super excited you're doing this. So the three of us chatted and walked around the building, and that was totally in shambles. Like, they were just, you know, they had renovated the outside, but the inside was still just kind of a scare, to be honest. And yeah, we toured around and talked ideas and told them how excited I was and what they were doing. And if I could help in any way, shape, or form, I would love to. After I left, you know, just on a high horse and high note, and they'd call me a couple of days later and asked if I wanted to come on board with them and maybe take the reins a little bit. So when they said that, I was blown back a bit and thought it over and asked if I could involve another cousin of mine who's also a dreamer, but he's a little bit more of a realist than I am. He was involved and he was on board. So yeah, there's three cousins, an uncle, and then Brad Taylor, who's also a part of the family just through business for years and years and years. So here we are a year and a half later and making good beers and pumped to be in this space still.
That's your guys' superhero story.
Totally, man.
So how did you get into craft beer?
A good friend of mine by the name of Josh Micknick. Him and I grew up together here in the Battlefords. He actually moved out a year before me to Vancouver, and then I moved in with him. And that was a long time ago. Vancouver was just a little bit too rainy and full of people for me. I didn't end up hacking it. I'm just a prairie boy. I don't know how else to explain it. I needed wide open spaces, man. So I came back home. He stayed, obviously. And he started a brewery. I think it's is it 9 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago now, he started a brewery called 33 Acres. So before he had opened, my wife and I would go down there for trade shows. We also own a snowboard shop here in town. So we would go down to Vancouver for the No Show, and we would visit our friend Josh, twice a year. And one day, so this would have been about 10 years ago or something, we went down to a nice little restaurant on the channel of the ocean, and I think I ordered I ordered just a run-of-the-mill beer. And he kind of looked at me and was like, no, don't bring him that. He'll have this. And I was like, what? What's going on, man? And so then he explained, the whole world behind it, and how keeping it local and keeping it craft, and how you can there's so much more out there for beer than just what's, given to you or what you grew up with or something, and right then and there, the beer he ordered me was delicious. And from there on out, my woman and I have always made a conscious effort to buy local or try something new and try something different and open our eyes to beer. And it just grew from there. Got to the point where it was hard to buy beer in the prairies 10 years ago, because there was just run of the mills, they're Joe Blow beers, right? But now the craft scene's huge in the prairies, and now it's even hard to buy beer because you're a kid in a candy store. You're just like, okay, what do I get now? Holy, there's so many options. So that's where my love started, was a good friend that introduced me to beer, good beer.
What was your reaction when he said, no, he'll have this?
Yeah, I was a little blown back. I was like, okay, Dad, thanks, man. I'm old enough to order my own beer. I'm a grown up, but little did I know he was teaching me something anyway, So yeah, I was thrown back. But then when he explained it, it just made so much more sense. Because you know what, I'll be the first to admit I stuck with what I know, and I'm, I was always one of those guys. Like, I ordered the same meal every time I went to the same restaurant, and I ordered the same beer when I ordered a beer. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of is how I lived. But craft beer, it actually, in all honesty, has opened my eyes to a lot of different stuff. I eat a lot of different foods now that I never would have tried before, and I'm just more open to change and more open to new things.
It's really interesting that you felt that or noticed that within yourself, because I was talking about that with a friend literally like 2 days ago. I'm like, can you imagine us eating roasted Brussels sprouts or grilled asparagus? And he's like, heck no. He's like, I hated this stuff.
Right. And now you just like, yeah, you got to try it. And then, oh, wow, that is good.
Throw it on the grill beside the burgers.
Yeah. Who knew like grilled or fried asparagus would be so good though? Hey, like that's good stuff.
A little salt, a little olive oil.
Oh, yeah, it's good. Yeah, do you find yourself almost turning into a foodie as well once you got into good beer?
I was kind of already on that path because of my wife.
Oh.
She grew up on a farm in Wisconsin, and she was always complaining. She's like, man, all you do is eat chicken nuggets and garbage. She's like, can you please eat real food? And I just didn't understand what she was talking about. I didn't get it. And slowly over time, she started to just change my diet, get rid of the sugar, get rid of all the fat and the salt and the garbage. And I didn't really notice it until I went back home to my parents, and I was like, we ate like this?
Crazy.
And then I kind of realized, I guess I'm a foodie now.
Good for you. That's awesome though, right?
But I did like what you're saying, the kid in the candy store. What do you choose? How do you choose? So my method was always pick one thing that I love and one thing that I've never tried before.
Oh yeah,
and
totally.
Share it with my buds.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I like that method because that way you're never disappointed because you got something you love. And then the new one, you never know. It could be another new lover. It could be a total miss. Just be like, ooh. It's hard to say that's not a good beer. You can just say, oh, that's not my style or that's not my jam. Because what I've been finding is there's so many taste buds out there. You could try the beer in your mind as one of the worst beers you've ever tried, and your best friend would be like, oh my God, this is so good. Like, what? All right, man. You do you, I guess. Crazy.
Have you guys noticed that with some of your styles, some people just go crazy for them, and other people just react really negatively?
Yeah, 100%. So actually, the beer I'm having right now that I would love to share with you, like if we were sitting down together, man, we're super pumped on it. It's our very first sour that we've ever done.
Nice.
We've teamed up with Matt Chevier, who's been brewing in the province for a while, and he's masterminded this sour we've got. So I had a tour on Saturday of about 20 people, maybe actually. Um, well, obviously separated due to COVID, but over time there was 20. Anyways, I bet you it was a 50-50 split on people that I just did not see them enjoying this beer. I don't really like beer, so we'll see how this goes. And they try the sour and super stoked. Like they were like, "Oh my God, is this ever great?" And I was like blown away that person liked that beer, because I for sure in my brain I was like, "There's no way they're gonna like this thing. It's gonna take them totally to left field." Shake their head, give that disgusted look, and go, "That's not beer. Ugh, that's not beer." But they were super pumped. So yeah, man, it's cool to see that. Like,
What's the name of your sour beer?
well, they came up with the name. Matt and a couple of our server girls, they called it Wild Tang. So it is. It's almost just like a Tang for adults. It's sitting at 5.5% alcohol, and it tastes very citrusy. But we peeled some. Like took orange peels and grapefruit peels and put that in the brew to get that citrus flavor. And then Matt handpicked a bunch of chamomile, which is like that pineapple prairie ditchweed that you can find like in the ditch all over the province. He picked a bunch of that and then, made an extract out of it and blended it. So on the breathe out, you get a little bit of that pineapple, but the original taste is just like a very citrusy, kettle sour. Man, I'm so pumped. I haven't wanted one for over a year now, but finally got it.
Are you guys culturing it with yogurt?
Nope, not yet. I don't know. Actually, I don't even know how we did that. That's a question for Matt. Can't even answer that.
Tell me about some of your guys' other beers. I know I've had the IPA and a couple others.
So it's the craft world. You always want to try something new, right? But with our immediate community that we live in, we've honestly just made a beer and we named it just a beer. We've made it so generic and so close to a beer you've tried before that we couldn't even come up with a better name. We were drinking it going, I don't know, it tastes like a beer to me. And it sells so well here. So it's a hybrid. Like we put it through the lagering process, but we still use an ale yeast strain. And actually that was due to COVID. COVID kind of, we didn't have any keg space, but our beer was ready. So then we just, okay, well, we'll slow down the process and lager it here. So it is, we can't call it a lager as it's not, but that's just a smooth, go-to, I guess. If you're having a tough time choosing from all these options, you can just go to that. But then we have a peach apricot on hand that, to be totally honest, I can't stomach it at all. And it is one of our best sellers. It just blows out of here. So yeah, it's something, man. I don't know.
I can't handle apricot beers. What is it about apricot beers? I went to a beer tasting and everybody was to bring some for a bottle share, and by the third apricot in a row, I was like, I'm not drinking this anymore. I'm pissed off.
Yeah,
I'm so mad about it.
Man, I'm so with you. I don't know, I'm not into it. I'm not a huge berry flavored guy, but there's been people pulling things off that are so natural and not overbearing that are so good. We did a Saskatoon berry beer and I loved it, but it was very, mild. It wasn't in your face. It still tasted like a beer, and then it was the back end. Yeah. There's some Saskatoons in there for sure. It was a little slightly tart, but yeah, I don't know, man. Peach apricot, people love it everywhere and I just can't handle it.
Circling back to your just a beer,
Mm-hmm.
I think I would want to taste that to see, it's kind of like a signature. You have to have a nice, easy drinking, clean beer because you can't hide. All the flaws come out. It really is a showcase of your attention to detail and cleanliness and your talent to just make a really nice, smooth, clean beer. And
absolutely.
If you guys are there and everybody's picking it up and digging it, like, you've arrived.
Yeah. No, man, you know what? I would agree with you. Like, it is one of those things. And that's something you talk about with brewers all the time. Like, you're going to make something, like you said, you can't hide. You can't just throw a bunch of hops at it and, hide maybe a potential mistake or, like, there is so many finicky spots in the brewing process where you can get these off flavors. So like you said, if it's working and it's just a stripped down beer, like, I don't know. You say like you've made it, but I don't know. I do the bookwork sometimes. Like, back, we haven't made her yet, bud. But yeah, no, it's good. Like, it's great that there's beers. Like, I'm so pumped to be in this world and drink all these, like Rebellion and Pile of Bones and like the Regina crew. They got all these great beers. And then, Saskatoon, I mean, you pick one, Shelter and 9 Mile and all these dudes are just like doing such great beers. And you can pick them up all the time, grab it, know what you're getting. It's, if we can, I mean, I guess that's kind of where I want to be, is like, I just want to be a staple in the province, run with the big dogs. You know what I mean? Like, I want people to be like, oh yeah, that Armoury beers, yeah, get that one. It's great. You can't go wrong. Grab that one, you'll be good. And then try this other one on a whim. But as long as, I want to get there where we have like that beer where people are like, yep, that's the one. That's going in the cart for sure. And yeah, we'll try this other guy, see how this is. But are we there yet? No, not yet.
It's very early days for you guys. But I love your branding. I love how tight it is. Like, your photos and the way you talk to people on social. It's really, you guys have a strong sense of self. And I, as a marketing guy for Rebellion, I really appreciate what you guys lay down. I'm like, they're dialed in. They're tuned into their audience. I just wanted to heap a bunch of praise on you. I love looking at what you guys are doing. I think it's great.
Dude, thank you. And I take that very personal because that's me. I don't make this beer that you drink. I like to talk about it, and I like drinking beer, and I like, helping the brewer come up with ideas on where we can go. But essentially, I mean, Matt's making all those calls, not me, right? But the marketing end of it is me. So when you say that, dude, that just blew my head up a little bit. Thanks. Appreciate it.
You guys should carry your heads up high. Like, I love what you guys are doing. It looks like fishing and hunting and camo and just having fun with your buds.
I mean, that's North Battleford. That's who we are. I don't know. I shouldn't say that, I guess. There's definitely different walks of life in NB, and I can't speak for all of us. But my immediate crew or how I am and how I grew up and what I love, that's, I mean, you can only portray who you are, right? Like, I think it shows if you're trying to be something you're not. And why not be honest with everyone anyways? Like, I can't, that's what I mean. I can't just tell you exactly how we made that beer because I was probably upstairs pulling my hair out writing emails to the government or something when Matt was brewing it. So I can't always just know all the answers for that end, but I don't know. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
How do you think North Battleford has responded to you guys in general? We talked about it a little bit, but I kind of want to unpack that.
Man, yeah, good. I think very good. And you know what? Let's let COVID be a test to that. We're a year and a half old, so, or young, I don't know how you want to say it, but when that happened, wow, I mean, everybody was the same, right? Everyone was stressed and everyone was like, what are we going to do? Like, what's up? The world's shutting down essentially, right? And then being so new, obviously I had it sitting on my brain. Like, do people even know we're here? Like, how are we going to make it out of this? What are we going to do? Growler stations had shut down. Restaurants had shut down. Basically 90, and we don't package beer yet. So 90% of our sales were basically just shut off. So North Battleford, our community, kept us going with growler fills. They made that extra effort. They ordered the beer online, and they ordered it over, Instagram, social media, stuff like that. They came to my pickup window. They made that extra effort, which, I mean, the liquor store right next to their house was open, and they could go get Rebellion there, right? They could go get some great beers. But they were like, you know what? Yeah, we're going to support NB. Like, we got to support the Armoury. We want them to open back up. And people made that conscious effort. So my hat goes off to North Battleford every day. Like, I'm blown away that how well they've accepted us and support us. I love this place, man.
I love that story. You just gave me chills up and down my spine.
Ah, man. Cool.
We've had that similar response where people from Regina, from the area, like Moose Jaw, Estevan, they call us up or they come into the tap room and they say, now's the time to support local. Now more than ever, I've woken up and I've said, local's where it's at. If you don't help these guys, they're not going to exist in 6 months, 3 months, And I'm grateful to see that it's happening for you guys too. It just kind of like gives me, like, my hair is standing on end.
And truly, right? Like, it's I think it just definitely showed how passionate and how, I don't know, for a while there, like, I've been in retail for, like, let's say 15 years. And to be honest, before the brewery, man, I was like, I might have to get out of this game. Like, people, like, will see something online and, I can get it for like $6 cheaper, so I'm just going to buy it online. And then they call you and there's a problem with it. Oh, I don't know how to fix this. Can I bring it in and get it fixed? And yeah, for sure. They bring it in. You're like, what? Where'd you get this? I never carried this piece. Or, I still have it. So how do you have it? Oh, I bought it online. And you're like, cool, man. Like, I still pay my taxes and still pave your roads and sponsor your kids' hockey team or whatever, right? So for a while there, I was getting a little bit shook with the whole retail game. But then the whole craft world, man, just blew me away. I know I've said it before, but like Garrett and Sean from 9 Mile, they came into our brewery. I think we just got our stainless, but we hadn't made a beer yet. We were just so stressed on the building and we were getting stretched in on budget. And, there's so many times you ask that question, like, dude, are we going to make it? Like, is this going to work? We got to up how much more money? We haven't even made a beer yet. Like, is it going to work? And those guys came in and just were like, yeah, if you guys need a hand with anything, here's our number. Let us know. Oh, so-and-so from this brewery, they'd be glad to answer that. And they just really showed us how the craft beer world was so welcoming. I'm not going to compare it to anything else. I'm just going to say it was so welcoming. And everyone was like, man, you guys got a great place. Keep going. You're going to do well. Like, just get some beers out there. And it hasn't stopped. That love and that support, I think, from every brewery to us. And then we also try to send that back, right? Like, if we can help in any way, which we're so new, I don't know how. But if anyone has any questions or wants me to help, let me know. And I think it's refreshing. And now you see the community doing the same thing. Like, no, we want you to stay. Like, that shirt or that beer has where we come from right on it. Yeah, we want that to succeed. Yes, we want this to stay around. So, yeah, man, the local movement is powerful right now. I love it.
There's something special about the craft beer scene, the craft beer culture in general. I think it's interesting to see that it's spread all the way far north, all the way to the south. It's wild, and I'm excited. I'm glad that you guys feel that love too.
Yeah, man. I mean, sometimes we definitely feel out of the loop. Like, we're so far out of the scene, I'd imagine Blackbridge feels the same, like they're so far south, but I don't know. It just seems like you talk to, like, we went to Maker's Malt through the fields there to check some things out the other day and see their varieties of, barley they're growing and so on and so forth. And then you see all these other brewers from the city and they all know each other and they all have like background stories about, I don't know, going disc golfing with that guy the other day. And you're like, what? Cool, man. You guys like hang out. There's like a culture in the city. Sweet, man. Then we feel we're kind of out of the loop out in the north, right? So I speak like we live in the bush, but I mean, we're not that far north. But we don't get to the city as often because you're busy working. But you don't have the next door neighbor brewer coming over at the end of the evening to have a beer because he got done work a bit early and I heard you guys are brewing this up, let's try it. And to me, when we meet the city folks, they're all talking that way, like, oh man, I can't believe you guys, like, when you dropping that, it was so good. And I was like, they haven't dropped it yet, how do you know how good it is? Oh, we were drinking beers there until like 11 last night. Like, what? That's awesome.
Sneaking them off the bright tank.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we get a little jealous for sure of how tight knit it seems the craft beer world is in the bigger city centers. But whatever, we get a little, like, when we show up, it's always fun. We try to make it count. So
I loved hanging out with you guys at Makers when we were drinking.
Yeah, right.
That was great.
That was
I
awesome.
missed it this year because of COVID, obviously.
Right. Totally, man. Totally.
That was awesome. I was like, I'm gonna go bug Brennan, and that didn't happen.
No. I guess COVID, like, you got 2 little kids at home too, hey? So you got to do all your due diligence very much. So you don't want to bring that home.
I'm thinking that I'm not confident that schools are going to remain open very long.
Yeah, man.
Luckily, I could kind of work from home and do a lot of web.
Yeah.
How's it affecting you guys?
Man, I don't know if I should even say that. You might have to edit this out, but I mean, we mask up and we do our due diligence. But I don't know, it just doesn't even seem super real because nothing's been so close to home yet. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. It's a battle, right? Like, you hang out with your friends in the tap room, let's say, and they're your boys, but you don't see them every day. They're not your immediate, they're not your kids and your wife at home. So you want to like hug them or give them a high five, and you're about to, and then you stop and like, oh, sorry, man. And then you guys like touch elbows or something, and you're like, yeah, COVID, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's changed, but I don't think we're as pandemic-y as the cities. I don't know. Did I say that right? I don't know.
When you have so much more traffic, like you have those airports, like say Toronto or Montreal,
Right.
It's gonna hit a quicker,
For sure, man.
We're both, I mean, North Battleford, Regina, we're both kind of lucky to be a little bit physically, socially isolated during this kind of thing. Things maybe move a little bit slower in terms of spread. Knock on wood.
Oh yeah.
I might have to edit that out.
Yeah, totally, bro. But it's one of those things, right? Like, I totally agree. We live in a little smaller scale, and I mean, we live in Saskatchewan. The time doesn't even change here, man. We're just like, we're doing our thing here.
That's the way it should be.
I agree.
Daylight savings can suck it.
Yeah, totally. Awesome.
One of the things I wanted to bug you about was, I know it's only been a year and a half, but you must have a couple favorite stories, a couple bangers that you like to share with your buds so far.
Yeah, I got one, man. It's kind of embarrassing for myself, but it's a funny story. We remember the Bull Barley project that went down probably a year ago. We were super new. So we had made a smash out of that just to really showcase the barley and what it, its flavor profile and so on and so forth was. 21st Street had hosted. So everyone in Saskatchewan had made this beer and got invited to come out, and we all tried each other's beers. And yeah, I don't know what it was, man. Everyone was like having like the sample glasses, everyone's beers. And I was like, man, what, 13 breweries in Saskatchewan? I'll just drink pints. We'll figure it out. I'm sure I could get through everybody's pints, right? Yeah, rookie move, big time. The boys had to babysit me pretty good that night. I got a little bit too hammered up. And it was at 21st Street, which is the basement of Winston's pub in Saskatoon, and we stayed at the Center Hotel, and it's all attached. So we ended up coming from the event and ended up, having a bite to eat, a couple more beers at Winston's and so on and so forth. And I was a little bit too inebriated and was like total autopilot. And my pals, my associates are like, yeah, you made an ass of yourself, man. Like, you made a goof. Like, okay. So maybe a week later, I go to deliver beer to Winston's because we're on tap there. So I roll in and, dressed a little different and sober. And I was like handshaking and meeting everyone. And their bartender, Adam, was like, yeah, bro, we've met. I said, oh. He's like, yeah, we've met. I was like, okay, sorry, man. And he just laughed. He's like, nah, no sweat. But yeah, that was a good first impression. That's one of my favorite stories, actually. But
don't we all have a story like that? Where
I would assume. I mean, I hope.
Do you mind if I tell you my version of that?
No, I would appreciate it.
It was like 2005, 2006. It was St. Patrick's Day at the university. So you can imagine what university students on St. Patrick's Day are getting up to. Green beer.
Yeah.
I don't remember it. But what I do remember the next day was people coming up to me in the hall and they're like, buddy, and they're giving me like a hug, and I'm not a hugger, like in that sense. I'm an introvert. I'm like, 6 feet back is good with me.
Yeah.
And people are shaking my hand and coming up and giving me hugs. I'm like, who was that? I don't know what's going on. They're like, you were just buying everybody drinks and full of love and just the happiest I've ever seen you. And I'm like,
Yeah. Oh, shoot. Wish I could go back now.
I mean, at least I didn't pick a fight.
Totally. Oh, man. Those are almost the reassuring ones when you've had too much and people are like, oh, you were so happy and so positive, man. We were just stoked to be around you. And you're like, okay, perfect, because that can go the other way. So I'm glad this is why you know me, not the other way around. But good for you. That's awesome, bro. That's awesome. Plus, you probably had a green tongue still and green teeth. And
I think my eyes turned green after that day.
Nice.
Where can people find your guys' beer?
Obviously we're in a few less locations since COVID. And like I said, we're not packaging just yet, but it is on the cusp. We're trying some experimental stuff. So eventually we'll get more places. But for now, we're in a few liquor stores on Gallerfills, like Metro and Regina, if we're thinking Regina. Typically we're at Beer Bros, but they're doing some renos and stuff. So we're there. We actually just maybe got some new accounts. I'm going to do a delivery here tomorrow. I'm going to Regina. The lobby, we're going to be there. I'm super pumped. It's a cool little spot. I like it. Those boys seem awesome. I just met them, and Alvaro, I don't know, they seem deadly and passionate about what they do too, man. They seem cool. And then we're in the Pile of Bones. We're also there on tap. Birmingham's, we're in there actually too. But it doesn't say us. It's just a Birmingham's beer if you order it. But then we're in a few different locations in Saskatoon as well. But we make the trip like up to Nipawin, the damn smokehouse in Nipawin.
Fair.
You've been there?
Yeah, I love it. I'm wearing a damn smokehouse hat right now.
No way.
Yeah.
Yes,
hey, let me show you on the camera.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, those guys kill it, man. If you're a foodie, that's definitely a place to go. Like, wow.
100%. I love his food.
Me too, man. So good. That's a crazy trip too. You've been to Nipawin? I love how those guys utilize the river. Like, they're always there doing huge fishing tournaments and stuff like that.
We did that big beer with Carrot River.
Oh, yeah?
So we did that Outback beer, that hemp beer. And on our way up, we're like, damn smokehouse, Farron, he's a big craft beer guy, right?
Right.
We stopped there for supper, and we had this, like the clients and customers were coming in, and they're like, hey, Mark, it's so good to see you. And Mark's like, who are you? But we didn't know that Farron had told a bunch of people in town that Mark Heisey from Rebellion's coming.
He's a pretty tough dude to not recognize either, though.
Right.
Yeah.
They treated Mark like a rock star. He was just like, oh man, he's like, oh shucks, I just make beer and want you to be excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
And Farron's food was like lights out. We ate ourselves till we were sick. And then the next day it was off to Carrot River to go hang out with them.
With some leftovers, probably. You probably couldn't even finish it all. There was so much food there. That was awesome, man.
My next time I'm coming right up to Nipawin, North Battleford, Carrot River. We got to make all those hits. It's going to be a long day of driving, but I'm eating and drinking in every single spot.
Yeah, it's almost one of those trips where you almost got to just take it to go, hey? Because if you had a beer everywhere, well, you might not make her too far.
But have a wingman.
That's right. You gotta have a wingman. Man, hop in with the delivery driver there. Who do they got? Who's Rebellion's delivery guy now? Is it still Paul?
Nathan and Craig.
Oh, okay.
Have you met Nathan Amos?
I don't know if I have.
He kind of talks. He's like, "Hey, I kind of talk like this." He's got a little bit of gravel in his voice.
Oh, really? I don't think I have yet.
And then Craig, he's Welsh, and although he's got that classic Canadian kind of manner of speech, if you can get him going on the Welsh accent, you're like, I can't understand you at all, buddy.
No way.
They're great.
That's cool. After a few beers, the Welsh comes out in them.
You know what's crazy is he's not a big drinker.
Oh yeah.
Like he'll have one, but he behaves himself.
Yep. Good for him, man. I wish I had that kind of willpower. I'm like a creature of more. Oh, wow, that was good. I better have more of it.
If less is more, think how much more and more could be.
There you go. Look at that thought. That's awesome.
If I was going to give you like a 60-second plug, 60-second elevator pitch, what do people absolutely need to know about Armoury Brewing?
Whoa. What do they need to know? Jeez, man, I don't know. You kind of put me on the spot. I guess our space, I always bring it up, but honestly, man, our space is seriously something to talk about. I mean, it took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears for sure to get it to where it is. And maybe that's why I like talking about it, but the bones in the structure are over 100 years old. Like 1913, this place was built. And it hasn't moved or shifted. It's still the safest place in the storm. You know, like I would say the building is exceptional and the beers are great. If I had 60 seconds to tell somebody like, why would I come to the Armoury? I would say I don't think you get the same experience anywhere else in the province as you can here. And I'm not taking away from anyone else. Don't get me wrong. Everyone has their own different experiences, and that's what makes craft so great. But yeah, ours is just, I think, worth the travel or worth checking out, in my opinion.
Brennan, I want to thank you for your time today.
Man, thank you. I appreciate being involved, and I always like talking to you, man. So
I can't wait to get my hand on your new beers.
Totally, man. Next time will be great. We'll cheers it. Man, I'll be coming to Regina tomorrow. I'll bring some samples by.
Deadly.
Dude, done. I'm loading them up as soon as we hang up. I'm going to load up some samples, and you guys can chime tomorrow.
Love it so much. You're making my heart feel full with love.
Yeah. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to sit down and chat again, man.
Cheers.
Cheers, bro.
Rebels, thanks for listening today. If you have any questions or comments about this episode, be sure to join us on our brand new Facebook group page, the Rebellion Brewing Podcast. I'm going to include links in the show notes so you can find all things Armoury Brewing. As you know, the Sask craft beer scene is always changing, and I'm going to do my best to keep featuring all the new local beers coming out. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Untappd so you don't miss out on a single thing. Thank you for joining the Rebellion.